to L&D Design. My name is Lene and I am half of L&D Design along with my husband David. Today we are going to be doing 3 awesome kitchen fall inspired DIYs. I didn't go out and purchase anything for these DIYs. I used stuff I already had on hand, things from the Dollar Tree from previous years, old things that were just in our garage that were left over from other projects, and so on. So I hope that you feel inspired to use some things that you already have, especially items from the Dollar Tree that you can give a bit of a new, more high quality look. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell. We have more videos coming for you. Also, feel free to like and comment. Tell me what you're thinking about our videos or what fall crafts you guys are making for your home decor. Like I said, we're going to be doing some kitchen DIYs today. I was walking through my kitchen and it just felt like it was missing some fall decor. So I'm hoping that you enjoy this video and that these fall items spruce up our kitchen for the season a little bit more. There are a few clips where you're going to hear some noises. Again, my husband is working on his man room in the basement, so there may be some clips where you hear some banging. Just ignore that. That's just him working away. Let's get right into the video now that I've talked enough, I think. If you're interested in seeing our fall-inspired kitchen DIYs, keep on watching. We're going to be using this Hello Fall sign. This is from Dollar Tree. And we're going to be making this into one of our fall kitchen decor items. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to remove the hanger. And I'm actually going to be painting the back of the sign instead of the front. I'm just going to put kind of a protective back on here just so it doesn't look crazy, just a piece of brown paper or something. But I'm going to be working on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the back, which is going to be our front. And I mixed a really dark gray. I used the Folk Art Parisian Gray with the Apple Barrel Jet Black. And I mixed that into a really deep gray, and I'm just going to be applying that all over my sign.
Here we go again. Trying hard, but you
are all dry and ready to go. I did just put a piece of that kind of brown wrapping paper from Dollar Tree on the back. So now we're going to work on the front. I use my Cricut machine to print out some vinyl because my handwriting is terrible and I didn't have stencils the size that I need. So I just have all of my Cricut vinyl here and I'm just going to transfer that onto my
ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. Here we go again. Call my bluff, I'ma be here till the end. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't.
My vinyl is on. I'm gonna add some jute rope. Now that my vinyl is on, I'm gonna add some embellishments to my sign. I'm gonna be putting some jute at the top where those grooves on the can would be. I'm also going to be adding a bow. I made this off camera. That's just going to help me cover up some of these holes. I need to add a hanger to the back as well as a few clips to the bottom, or hooks I should say, to the bottom so that we can hang some things.
I can help you out. 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 Here we go again. Time is up and I'm calling up my friends. Ain't no wonder why, ain't no one to ride to. Here we go again. Call me up and you wanna be my friend. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one.
For our next kitchen DIY, we're going to be making another sign. This one's going to be longer. I have this scrap piece of poster board from Dollar Tree. This actually came from a previous fall DIY that I had done, and it just so happened to be the perfect thickness because it's actually going to hang up and down like this vertically. It actually happened to be the perfect thickness, and I didn't need to cut it that way. I just trimmed off the end just so I didn't have a super, super long sign. So I'm actually going to leave this poster board white, but I'm going to do a ton of dry brushing on this, and I'm going to be using the Waverly chalk paint and truffle and my crazy ridiculous brush that I love for dry brushing. I don't want to necessarily paint this and have to go through all that, but I don't want it to just look like poster board, so I'm going to do that technique. Once that is dry, and I'm just going to do that on one side, once that's dry, I'm going to be going around my edges just with some jute twine just to give it a little bit more of a polished look. I won't be showing that on camera just because with the way I have to set up my camera, you guys wouldn't see what I was doing half the time anyway, but I'm just going to be hot gluing this around the edges just to give a more polished look.
If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't wanna change, I can help you out. I can help you out. I can help you out.
The next thing that I'm going to be doing is taking this sign from Dollar Tree. I got this, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I loved it and I just kind of want to change it a little bit. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking these apart, and I'm actually going to be using the back side. I don't want this on here, and I don't want to have to mess with trying to pull all of that off. It's going to be just a pain. So I'm going to use the back side of it, and I'm going to do a little bit of dry brushing on this as well. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of a gray color. I haven't quite decided, either gray or truffle, but my first step is going to be to take all of these apart.
I can help you out. 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 I can help you out.
My next step is going to be to do my dry brushing. I'm actually going to use Waverly Steel, but I'm going to use that same brush and that same plate that I used with my truffle. Not really to mix the colors together, but I don't mind if some of that truffle gets in there so it looks nice and rustic. And then I'm just going to dry brush lightly each pumpkin.
Look, if you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't.
My next step is going to be to apply some Cricut vinyl. I just printed out the word EAT on my Cricut. You do not have to have a Cricut. You can stencil, you can use poster stickers, you can use decals from Dollar Tree. I just really love my Cricut, and it's much easier for me to kind of utilize the vinyl and stuff that I already have as opposed to going out and buying something from a Dollar Tree. So I'm going to put one letter on each of our pumpkins, and then we're going to start attaching things to our sign.
I can help you out. I can help you out. I can help you out.
When you attach your vinyl or your lettering, if you're not using a stencil and you're using like a decal or vinyl, you just want to make sure you get in the grooves really, really well. So I just kind of centered my stencil, and then I immediately started going in those grooves, so I made sure that those were nice and smoothed out and my vinyl was completely adhered to my pumpkin.
I can help you out. I can help you out. I can help.
I find that going in kind of a wave pattern to kind of go along with the ridges really helps me. So I go down into the groove and I just kind of wave with the groove first before I really get in there good and smooth everything out. Before I attach anything to the front of my sign, I am going to attach my hanger at the back. I'm going to be using just a piece of Dollar Tree popsicle stick, or I guess these are tongue depressors, not sure what they're called, but I'm going to be using a little piece of that just to kind of elevate my hanger a little bit. I'm going to be using some hot glue to place that on. Since the sign isn't super heavy, we should be okay. And then I'm just going to add this ribbon over just to give a finishing touch, but also give some more security to my hanger. And again, I'm just using one of these pieces from a binder clip. I'm a teacher, I do a lot of planning, so I just happen to have a ton of these binder clips laying around, which is why I keep using them. But you can use twine, you can use popsicle sticks, you can use sawtooth hangers, anything that you have that you can hang your sign from. Before I attach my pumpkins to my sign, I think I want to tie them together with a little bit of jute twine, just so I can kind of cover up those holes and make them look more purposeful. If you see I have my ruler at the top of my sign, that's because I'm going to be putting a bow and some eucalyptus at the top. So I just want to make sure that when I do glue these down, I'm not kind of intruding on the area that I'm envisioning that I'm going to have my bow and my greenery on the top. So I'm just going to take a few pieces of jute twine. I'm going to feed them through the holes, and then I'm just going to tie these letters together. Ready to glue my letters down, or my pumpkins down. I'm going to start with the E and just make sure I have it centered, and I'm going to pop a little bit of hot glue under different spots and then push it down pretty firmly because I do have those knots underneath where I tied my twine. Just going to secure my embellishments at the top. I have my bow, and then I also have my eucalyptus leaves. These are from a eucalyptus pick from Walmart, so I'm just going to figure out kind of how I want to place them just so they add some embellishments and a finishing touch. Our last kitchen DIY is actually going to be using this giant piece of paneling. So we are doing some stuff in the basement and we've been using this paneling and we had some scrap pieces. So it's basically 12 inches like in width, like vertically. I'm not sure how long it is long ways. I didn't measure it. It just kind of happened to be the size that that piece of paneling was. A lot of this particular sign is going to be done on the Cricut, so I'm just going to insert a few clips during this process of me working with my Cricut and kind of figuring out what I want to do. Again, you do not have to have a Cricut. You can use stencils or decals or anything else. But like I've said, I just really love my Cricut. I have it and it's super easy for me to use and it makes really great signs. So that's what I'm going to be using. I did get inspiration from this from Google. I found a picture on Google when I was just kind of looking for some inspo that I really, really loved. So I will insert that picture here. We're going to go off of that inspiration and kind of do our own thing a little bit, but I hope you enjoy our last kitchen fall DIY. So I'm in my Cricut design space and I just started a new project. What I want to work on first are those big letters that say Fall Market. We are going to be making some changes to the top part and the bottom part. It's not going to be exactly like the inspiration picture, but I am going to keep Fall Market. So I want to work on those first because I want to make sure I have enough room on my sign for those letters. So I'm actually going to use the font Jute Decor. I really like this font. It's a nice chunky font and it looks really good on larger signs and larger pieces. So I'm just going to spell out, is it working? What's it doing? There it goes. I'm just going to spell out Fall Market. And I actually think that I am going to do fall separately and do market as a different one just so I have enough room to work with in my space. And I'm going to make my letters pretty big. I know that I have 12 inches to work with top to bottom, and I have quite a bit of space to work with left to right. So I'm not super worried. I'm going to work on this. I am going to measure my space left to right just to make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I have a lot of space to work with left to right, so I'm not super worried. So I'm just going to duplicate this. It'll pull me up another one, and if I double click on it, then I can just go in and change the wording, and I'm just going to write market. So now I'm going to work on the top, and in the inspiration picture, it said Little Farm, which I thought was really cute. But what we're going to do is we're going to do Ekstrom Farm because that's our last name. And I love the font Magnolia Sky. It's a font that I use really, really often in our decor. I'm sure my husband's probably tired of it, but I really love that font. So I think I'm just going to use that because I already know that I like it and I don't have to go searching for a font I don't know that I like. What I like to do now is I like to put my letters together. So I just click letter space over and over. You can ungroup them and regroup them, but I feel like this is just easier for me and then I don't have to move every single letter. So I'm going to work on this and then we'll come back and we'll work on our font at the bottom. One tip I do want to give if you're working in Cricut Design Space, some of you may already know this and some of you may not if you're new to Cricut. This took me a while to actually figure out. I didn't know that you could connect the letters by changing the letter space for a long time. So some of my decor has like the spaces in between and I don't love that. So that's why I do the letter space and I lessen it so they're closer together. However, if you do not weld this together, when you go print it on your vinyl, it's going to print all of these little connections. So you're going to have all of these little cutouts and like rugged edges in your letters where you can very clearly see that it used to be separate letters and then you just smush them together. So one thing I will say is if you are going to do this and you want them to kind of cohesively run together, you need to weld this. I'm actually going to space this out. This right here is bothering me, but then I feel like this is going to be off. I think I'm just going to leave it. So I'm just going to select this whole thing. And then down in the bottom, there's a button that says weld. Once you weld that all together, you're not going to have that craziness where your end of your K is cutting into your S. So here's what I've come up with so far for the bottom of my sign. The inspiration piece had some different things on it. Pick your own pumpkins. I decided to go with something a little bit different. I love apple pie, or not apple pie. I actually hate apple pie. I know. Am I weird? Tell me if I'm weird. I don't like fruit pie, but I love pumpkin pie. I wait all year for pumpkin pie. It's one of my favorite things. We also really love apple butter, and then I just thought in the middle to put homemade. I couldn't really think of anything else I really wanted there. So my plan is to have pumpkin pie on one side, homemade in the middle, and then apple butter on the other side. Here's what we have so far. It's looking good. So now I'm going to do my top and bottom, and I will show me doing that. This was really hard to do because I had to map like all this out, and I had to go an inch from like the side, and I have like a small piece of vinyl that I have left, and or transfer tape, so it was tricky for sure. So I have some bubbles I need to smooth out, but that's okay. This is my middle mark. 23.5 is the middle of my sign, so I'm just going to use that mark on top and bottom just to help guide me with the placement of my other words. I went in, I added some dry distressing with Waverly's ink chalk paint just along the edges to bring in that black. I do wish this was a little bit bigger, but kind of is what it is now. So I may add something to the top. I haven't decided. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my binder clip trick to add hangers to the back. And I might do like 2 popsicle sticks or something just to make it more sturdy, since this isn't exactly a light piece. And then I have something cool that I want to do in the middle instead of the dots. I've added my hangers to the back, and now I'm going to add my pumpkins. I just took one of these pumpkins from Dollar Tree. They were orange, and I had already painted them this kind of deep burgundy color, and then I didn't end up using all of them on the project that I painted them for. So I just took my X-Acto knife box cutter and just cut them in half. And then I cut that little wooden stake that was on there off and just colored the top of it with a Sharpie. And I did the same thing with that, just so they both have little stems. And I'm going to glue one here and then one on the other side of my sign.